Hello everyone, and welcome to a special day here on the Game Professor channel. I am your host, the Game Professor, and today, in honor of the anniversary of the sinking of the RMS Titanic, we are going to be playing Titanic Adventure Out of Time. This is a game that was developed by Cyberflix Incorporated, and it originally came out in 1996. It has a very unique animation style in regard to dialogue that Cyberflix exclusively used in its games, and it also provides some very interesting socio-political commentary on the events of the early 20th century. So, even though there is only a little bit of historical accuracy to it all, it still provides some interesting commentary. So, we are going to dive right into this. We will actually be starting off in the 1940s during the Blitz of London. So let's get to it. April 14th, 1942.
London has endured another night of German bombing. Most damage was concentrated in the East End. The RAF has struck enemy aerodromes in Le Havre and the Low Countries. In Russia, further German losses are reported around Leningrad. In Asia, the American fortress at Corregidor is still defiant, but Japanese forces are reported nearing the Burmese oil fields. And that concludes the news summary. We now return you to our music program.
And I'll just turn off the radio at that point. I do like to hear the full report just because I think it's interesting to hear it because, as I said, this is a representation of a historical period, a very significant historical period in Europe. But you can see here we live in a very rundown apartment, not much to have. Household milk, enriched spaghetti, dried eggs. Obviously, we're not doing well. We can really see how run down everything is. We saw this poster, I didn't comment it, London, he's watching you. So, kind of a nod to all the surveillance that is necessary at this time. Oh, someone's knocking.
About time you're awake. You're 2 weeks late with the rent. War or no war, a tenant in arrears is not a tenant I'll put up with. You don't pay by today, it's the street, I promise.
Okay. I don't like that, so we won't engage with pardon me, engage with her anymore. But we have a tarot card here, the Death card. That is a portrait of Edward the 9th? 8th? Queen Elizabeth II's uncle, who abdicated the throne.
See here, this isn't about your dedication. Pringle certainly attests to your loyalty. No, your dismissal stems from the Titanic mission. That failure can no longer be ignored, especially now. I am sorry, but someone must shoulder the blame. The service, you understand. We can't be held responsible.
The Titanic mission. So, that is going to be the main body of this game, is the mission aboard the Titanic. We'll find out how that happens shortly. But here we have 10th of August, 1914. His Majesty's government regrets to inform you that your services in the office of the Secret Service are no longer needed. Termination to be effective immediately. With regrets, Commander T.S.D. Hipple. Alright. And here we have a ticket on the Hindenburg going from Frankfurt to Lakehurst, May 3rd, 1937. And yes, this is when the Hindenburg tragedy occurred. So this poor guy, he has been on numerous transit disasters. Poor guy. Got a couple of magazines and some postcards here from Jack. That from looks like 1914. Heard you're back from France. Hope you'll even the score yet with the bastard who fired you. Sorry to bring it up, but I think you were treated horribly. No references, no pension. What will you do next? Keep me posted. And we can see Carlson is our character's surname. Wanted to look at the other ones. There we are. Tunis looks like war in Europe, doesn't it? Situation here, nervous. French are still wine, women, and something, and singing. If it as usual. What will you do if there is fighting? Keep fixing wateries? Seriously, I know whatever happened on the Titanic was bad, but it's 25 years. You can't change the past. Look ahead. We'll talk when I return. Looks like it's from Jack again. Cheers. Not very easy to read, that one. And then this last one from Dina. I definitely can't read this with this current grainy texture. Funny little fact about how this game set itself up. It's this screen that you see here is actually just a tiny corner of my monitor that it is filling right now, so everything's a little blown up because of that. But let's close out of the desk. I think we will be about to go back to the Titanic. Air raid siren. And we will see what happens. Nice. Explosion.
The past, forever locked in regret. But what if the past could be changed?
Our beautiful title sequence. And we are literally being thrown back in time by this bomb.
Come and gone since the night that saw the end of the world, my world. The service needed someone on the Titanic. They chose me. I was to wait for a signal from my contact, so I remained in my cabin. I left only once Georgia was on board. And that's when it came. There'd be no second chance. It was Sunday, April 14th. Too late, you see, for the Titanic, for me. What if I'd met with my contact, prevented disaster? What if the past could be changed? What then?
So, that is the premise of this game, is that we are thrown back in time by this bomb and have the opportunity to correct the mistakes that were made during this mission aboard the Titanic. And ultimately, it's 9:30 p.m., so we still have several hours before the iceberg is struck. Grab that pocket watch. Meet me tonight on deck. Tell no one. Georgia. And that is the Georgia that was just referenced in that opening title sequence. We also have a satchel here. Let's see what we have. Got a key. Probably for this trunk. And we have a knock on the door. Who could it be?
Good evening. I am Smethels, your steward. And, if I may say so, it is good to see you up and about. You've been in your cabin the whole voyage. A touch of the mal de mer, was it?
Yes, just a touch.
Seasickness can be quite unpleasant, especially if it's one's first crossing. Since you haven't been out of your cabin, May I instruct you on how to get assistance while on board the Titanic?
I'm going to say yes, I could use some help, just because this is a fun little demonstration of the meta approach this game kind of takes to the fact that this is a game.
Very good. We of the White Star Line hope that your stay on board Titanic is as relaxing as possible. As you explore the ship, please bear in mind the following advice. The mouse is your hands. The keys, your feet. If you find the screen too dark or too bright, follow the directions on the control screen help panel or consult your manual on adjusting your monitor. To find the control panel help and other features, click on the life preserver at the bottom of the screen. The control panel has a help button, as well as a quit and save game feature. You may also adjust the volume. Test the settings by clicking on the black knob. You may also switch the theme music on or off. After making any adjustments, click OK to return to your current game. Wandering the ship, if you notice a hand, it indicates something to click on. May I suggest you do so? Several personal items in your room, a brown satchel, and a pocket watch are quite useful to you during your voyage. Take them with you. You shall want to converse with other passengers. If you fail to understand them, click on their face. They will repeat their last sentence. The purser. His office is on C deck, just off the forward grand stairs. The elevator, or lift as we call it, has an attendant who can direct you to various sections of the ship. The lifts are located behind the forward grand staircase. Lastly, you may always find me by returning to your cabin, C-73, and ringing the bell to the right of the door. Your correspondence.
Just a fun little
on board,
meta approach to the game.
Messages delivered.
All right, from today, meet me by the electric camel right now.
The Titanic,
from
the most
PP.
advanced means of sea conveyance ever devised, I still have only two hands.
And that's just Smethels complaining.
Here, a map of the ship for you. Compliments
Excellent.
of the White Star Line. I have taken the liberty of indicating your cabin, C-73. Of course, on a Sunday evening at this hour, there won't be many people out. Will there be anything else?
Who is PP?
A young lady. A most insistent young lady.
And what is the electric camel?
The electric camel? An exercise device. They say it is good for the liver. I wouldn't know. It's located in the gymnasium, on the boat deck, on the starboard side. That's the right side, in case you had not been informed.
Okay. And what is the left side called?
Port. If you're facing towards the front of the ship, the left side is the port side. Have you unpacked? You'll find your trunk key in your bag on the bed. If you require additional assistance, please ring the bell by the door. Good night.
All right, so just a nice little rundown of everything for the game. And actually, I am going to make an adjustment in the settings right now. I'm just going to change my keys, just because I'm not much of a mouse and keyboard player when it comes to games, and I instinctively place my fingers where the little knobs are to do home row typing. So just moving everything over by one helps me with that. And I am going to keep subtitles off just because they're really bad subtitles. They don't do a good job. Half the time they're wrong, and they also end up taking up about a third of the screen, and I'd rather be able to see the characters more easily. But I am going to very quickly go into the trunk just so that we can see what is there. So we have a gramophone here. So we can give this a listen, see what we have going on.
His Majesty's government has assigned an agent of the Crown to rendezvous with you on board the Titanic. Remain in your cabin until your contact gives you further instructions. After completion of all your assignments on board, book passage to remain on the ship and return to Southampton for your next assignment. For a more in-depth report of the international situation in the spring of 1912, please review the white paper included as part of this briefing. That is all.
Okay.
His
So,
Majesty's government has...
definitely something there. And here, this is our mission briefing. And I won't read through all of this, but I will pause. I'll stay on the screen long enough for people to pause. But basically, we are looking at problems with Germany, Austria-Hungary, Serbia, got Russia, France, and Britain. How do I change things? Here we are. So we have the Central Powers of Germany and the Hungarian Empire. So Germany and Austria-Hungary. We have France and Russia on Britain's side, and the United States is neutral, or the Unites States, as this puts it. Page 1. Essentially, what we are looking at is the beginnings of the groundwork for the Great War. That is the primary thing that you, as Carlson, are trying to stop right now. And ultimately, it goes further down the line. So this is really just doing a very surface level description of everything. So I hope if you wanted to read that you paused the screen where appropriate. But we are gonna go on, and just so that people can see what this was, it's a menu, dinner menu for the day. So, very exciting. And I am actually going to start off going to the aft grand staircase, because I'm going to do my best to actually speak with every single person it is possible to speak with throughout this game, and try to get every bit of conversation we can. And this is a gentleman that I often end up forgetting about. So, let's speak to him.
A fine night to be indoors, cold as the dickens outside. Cold but clear.
Please excuse me.
Clear as a bell, and the stars, oh, you should see 1,000,000 stars in God's firmament. A congregation of light. The name's Trout. The Reverend Edgar Trout. I'm returning from a mission in Africa, to Sunapee, New Hampshire, where I live. Emily, my wife. She's dead.
My sympathies. That's very unfortunate.
Thank you. We had looked forward to this journey. But she died at Port Said. Though it was Nyasaland that killed her, the doctors, never did find all the parasites. We've just ended a hymn sing in the second-class lounge. It's the Titanic's first Sunday afloat.
What did you sing?
For all those in peril on the sea. Tell me, are you religious?
Perhaps.
Do not forget God, and do not collude with the godless. There are many on this ship. Leyland Trask, for example, a seer, a clairvoyant. He claims the most outrageous blasphemies. Remember, that which does not come from God is not of God. Wait, before you leave, I was wondering, perhaps you'd care to make a donation to our mission in Nyasaland.
Sure. I'll be polite.
I am very happy. I shall call upon you tomorrow to discuss it. Good evening.
Alright. So, he is a character that kind of just frequently crops up. There are several will do that. I won't go into the smoking room. This is where the smoking room is. We will be going there eventually. But what you will have noticed so far is that the way that the animation works during dialogue is it's basically just it's still images that are grouped together and make a very rough animation. I remember when I first got this game, I thought it was the coolest thing. I had never seen anything like it. I first got this game in 98 or 99, I believe. Probably 99. And I thought it was the coolest thing. But here's the gymnasium where we will meet our contact, and there she is.
Glory be. It's about time. You're late. Another 5 minutes and I'd have cancelled your mission.
I'm sorry for being late.
What a botch-up. Some idiot in the War Office booked me into second, not first class. And I've had a fine time of it, too. The crew wouldn't let me in the first cabin at all. It's just today I located you.
So therein lies the problem that created the events in the original timeline that led to Carlson not completing the mission. The other element of it is that he did not meet with Penny. We're about to learn her name. But she canceled his mission because he never actually went to see her. But we're seeing her this time, so all is right with the world, right?
Yes, I'm Pringle. Penny Pringle. From the Bureau of Secret Service. You didn't think they'd plunk you down on this bucket of bolts and millionaires alone, did you?
I mean, I literally knew that I was waiting for a contact, so yeah.
Look at this. A German colonel named Zeitel. He's inspecting their embassies in Havana, Washington, and Mexico City. We know
Okay.
better.
All right.
10 days ago, the Bureau got word that Zeitel has in his possession a priceless copy of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, stolen 2 months ago in Paris after its purchase by a very highly placed member of His Majesty's government.
What's the Rubaiyat?
The Rubaiyat's a book, a collection of medieval Persian poetry, a passion of his lordship's.
All right.
Poetry. Persians. The German High Command must think it's important enough to have their top man smuggle the lot on board.
What's Zeitel gonna do with it?
It's your job to find out. His lordship's watching this very closely. Very closely indeed. I wouldn't fumble this chance either, unless you fancy spending the rest of your career in some grotty Midlands back office shuffling paper about.
All right. Is Zeitel traveling alone? What are the Germans up to? That is entirely referenced in the packet that we looked at. So, just all, like I said, it's just all the groundwork that is going to go into the Great War itself. So, is Zeitel traveling alone?
No. He's with a protégé, name of Heidelitz, I believe. The two spend a great deal of time in the Café Parisien, nibbling pastries.
Okay.
Get into the wireless room. I don't know or care how. Officer Morrow wouldn't let me in. See if Zeitel's received or sent any telegrams about the Rubaiyat. You've got a cryptograph in your trunk. It'll unscramble the German codes for you. You use the brains God gave you. Watch people. Listen. When you find the Rubaiyat, knock on my door.
Which cabin are you in?
Cabin F, 34. Use the second-class stairs. You should be set. Remember, this is your big chance. Don't fail.
All right. So, let's head over to the wireless room then. And while we are on our way there, we will also meet with the woman who caused the problem in the first place in the original timeline. This is Lady Georgia Lambeth.
You came after all this time. It's Georgia. I'd heard you on board. Where have you been?
I didn't know that you were on board.
It's been 5 years. I'd have waited a lot longer to see you again. Why didn't you tell me where you'd gone? Dina hadn't a clue, nor did Jack. My letters were returned. Just like you to show up now, with everything such a beastly mess. You must help me.
And Georgia's an interesting character because it's very much implied that she and Carlson were at one time romantically involved. She married for a title and money, which Carlson, as a Secret Service member, obviously does not have. But we'll learn a little bit more about that as we converse with her. What are you talking about, Georgia?
You've no doubt heard the rumors. I won't deny most of them. I can't.
What rumors?
Even if the money's gone, I won't give the diamonds to Charles. Never. These are all that remains. My insurance for a new life without Charles or Sasha.
I will go into who is Charles just to flesh out her backstory a little bit.
My husband. You hadn't heard of my marriage to Lord Lambeth? You told me once I cared only for a title. Well, I've got that now, and it's not worth a penny. The money's almost gone. Charles' bad investments. This is all that remains, and I must keep it away from him. Please. I mustn't talk any longer. Keep it for me, and don't tell Charles you have it. You can't know what he's like.
Alright, so now we have this very pretty diamond necklace. We can take a closer look at it. George's necklace, quite beautiful. And here, just looking at our timing, I am going
Come here.
to leave it here. So we are about to go up and chat with this gentleman. You'll notice that he was the gentleman that was walking around on the promenade deck earlier.
I love this sea air.
Oh.
Really clears out the sinuses. Max Seidelman, Philadelphia, PA. Buyer for Haymaker's department store. The shoppy of Spruce Street, they call me. You a sporting type? You look like the sporting type. Come on down to the smoking room for a nightcap. Riviera's looking for someone to play a few hands of blackjack with him. What do you say? Not much else to do. Not tonight. Brr. Cold as a cast iron commode out here. So, what do you say?
Alright, actually, I guess then we'll go a little bit long for this episode, and we will get our first sight of Colonel Zeitel. So, yeah, I'll go with you, Max.
Great. First, let's swing by the Parisian Cafe. There's a man there named Zeitel, a German. Claims he's a businessman, but he's got something up the sleeve, all right. I know the type, believe me. Dollars to donuts, he's in some racket. So come with, why don't you? We'll hit the smoking room from there. Hey, Colonel, how you doing? Willie, like you to meet a friend.
A pleasure. Hedelitz and I, we welcome diversion during such an uneventful passage, don't we, Willie?
Certainly.
Willie is at the University of Vienna, dissecting children's fables.
Cultural mythology, it's quite interesting. So only a junior professor, I tried to interest Dr. Freud. He's a genius, and
Yes, I am sure, quite. On the passenger list it says you embarked at Cherbourg, yet I have not seen you with the others. You were there, were you not?
And obviously, since he is the big bad, effectively, of the game, other than the iceberg, we need to be a little careful around him. I was feeling ill.
I see. You are British. Not so many of you in Titanic's first cabins. These days, most of the rich are Americans. Businessmen like Max.
Okay.
Tell me, Why do you go to New York?
I'm on business. Yeah. I am. This way I'm not lying. I'm not saying what my business is.
Business. How interesting, considering the British are not so good at it.
What do you do?
Me? Inspecting our embassies. Imperial Germany desires to make a good impression in North America. Willy is continuing on, to the west, to conduct research on Aboriginal customs.
The Indians, they are fascinating.
Yes. However, I place faith in science, not superstition.
The Colonel was saying this wireless stuff's revolutionizing everything. Sending messages to each other. It's the end of books and newspapers.
Like the Titanic, a technological triumph. Here we dined in comfort while racing along at 20 knots. It's still tied to the outside world by the wireless.
That reminds me, Colonel Seidel, when I go to send you a telegram, they told me it was to be delayed. There are too many messages. The passengers...
I am sure our guests do not care to hear a detailed discussion of your encounter with telegraphy. Now, if you will excuse me...
Please, excuse us.
Won't you call on us tomorrow? Here, in the cafe. The Linzer Tort's quite passable for a British ship. Stop by. Willy and I welcome it most heartily.
Yes, most heartily.
And before I leave, you must allow me to give you some advice. But do not wander the ship. It is not good, I think, on a ship as big as the Titanic. Good night, friends.
Good night.
See? What did I tell you? What did I say? Them too. Up to something, I'd say. The brainy kid gives me the creeps. What a grind. He should hang out with that little blonde. She's a looker, I tell you. Come on, let's hit the smoking room. I'll introduce you to Riviera. What do you say?
Sure, let's go.
Great. Go on up. I gotta see a man about a horse. I'll meet you in a few minutes. Goodbye.
And there is our first marker of the passage of time in this game. I realized I forgot to open up the pocket watch, but now it was like 9:30, 9:45, or maybe it was 9:15. It was one of the other ones. Now it's 9:45, so approximately 15 minutes has passed. 15 minutes to a half hour. But let's pick this up, just because that looks interesting. So, that is going to finish off this episode, though, guys, or everybody, rather. Thank you so much for watching. This is a fun little diversion for this very significant date, in my opinion. So, thank you for indulging my Titanic obsession by allowing me to play this game for you all, and I hope you all enjoyed it. So, we will continue on very shortly. I'm probably going to be uploading these episodes on the half hour as soon as I'm done recording them. So I will see you all very shortly for the next episode. But thank you as always for watching, everybody. Be sure to hit the subscribe button so you always know when I have new videos coming out, and follow the links in the description to the Facebook page and Discord server so you can join the conversation. But until next time, everybody, this is your Game Professor signing off. I will see you then.